It's a wet and windy start to the day, as the weather forecast predicted. However, as I've said on many occasions, don't let the weather conditions dictate whether you go fishing or not. Just go anyway. You may need an umbrella, you may need to fish in a sheltered position, may need to change the venue even, depending on the weather that's forecast. But above all, if you have that little slot in your life to go fishing, go. There's quite a pull on the canal this morning. I think partly down to the wind because it's going in that direction. But initially I thought there was a boat coming through, but it's been like that ever since I've arrived. I did mention several times in recent videos how I use that little shot a couple of inches away from the hook as an anchor. Anyway, these are the types of conditions that little anchor shot really comes into its own, because the float has obviously been pulled along, but it's still visible, and the anchor shot is holding the bait on the bottom. And just had a little dip actually, so who knows? Well, I know whether this particular occasion or not, I will be back with a fish. Let's go for a gudgeon, shall we? In the meantime, that's not developing, but I'm going to finish this cup of tea off. I've got not just one gudgeon, but two. Someone came past and was talking to me when I caught the first one and the second one, so I just popped them in the landing net until I could do my little recording. In my last blog entry I was talking about personal responsibility and how in my 40s in particular, mortgage paid off, kids were grown up, we started a family young as well, so I was able to do more fishing in that sense of not so much personal responsibility. However, it was way back in 20s and 30s when I was able to take a career move that enabled me to fish a lot more. So way back then I was still doing what I'm doing today, and I can remember I was probably in my early 30s, just maybe, and a couple of lads were talking to me, youngsters who were into fishing themselves, and they were at school, and they were saying, oh, we'd love to do what you do, fish all the while, which is what I do now, no different to then. And I said to them, that's great, but we are different age groups, and I've got a mortgage, I've got a family, my job allows me to do that. At that time I was working in Africa a lot. Well, I was working in Africa, but I was in Africa as well and elsewhere, so I would be away for a couple of weeks at a time, no fishing for 2 weeks, and then I'd come back and then I'd have to fit everything around. I said it's important to do your studies, you work hard, you do what you've got to do, and then at some point in your life you'll be able to fish more. For many people it will be when they actually retire. For others like myself, due to other circumstances, it will be at some point during their lives. At the moment I'm probably, local fishing is probably working out very, very well for me, because I've got a lot of things to do with the house move, and still got stuff to tie up, and doing things on the new house as well. So I don't feel it's particularly responsible to be travelling off long distances to fish while I've got other things that are higher up the pecking order. Personal responsibility, that's what it's all about. And I've had a couple of gudgeon this morning, so I'm happy enough to catch them so far. Of course I want to catch something bigger, like we all do when we go fishing, but ultimately I just love fishing. It's great, isn't it? And people have different hobbies and different interests that flick the switch in their life, and I do have a lot of things that I'm interested in other than just fishing. Certainly not an obsession by any stretch of the imagination, but, and the proof of the pudding is in the eating, everyone who knows me, even people I meet for the first time who perhaps have been aware of me before, maybe work related, they'll say to me, how's the fishing coming on? I remember, was it last year or the year before now, time flies, and someone from an English Premier League club telephoned me and was chatting about, work related stuff. All good, very good. And at the end of the conversation, as you sign off, they said to me, what are you doing now? Going fishing? Even they knew as well. Angling, the passion of angling, it's great, isn't it? And I think I'll be back. Well, I've got a cup of tea to drink here. It's gone a little bit cold. I like my tea hot, very, very hot. So I'm going to top that one up and I'll be back with a fish. What will the third one of the session be? Another gudgeon, roach, perch, bream, perhaps? Let's wait and see, shall we? And the third fish, drum roll, it's a gudgeon. I'll be ready to go home shortly, about an hour and a half or so on the canal, and I've enjoyed it. Just gudgeon though this morning. However, I don't want to sound like I'm disappointed, because I'm not. I've certainly been enjoying catching them recently, and the float just went then. Can I get a fish live on camera, so to speak? Well, live for me, but you'll be watching it later. It's great, isn't it, being out in the wonderful world of nature. I've been listening to so many birds this morning as well, chiff-chaps and song thrush, missel thrush, blackbird, great tits as well. They've been calling away. Well, nothing on that occasion, but I'm going to put it out again. No sucked maggot, so I don't think that was a roach. Probably another gudgeon. It's great, isn't it, being out and about in the great outdoors. Can't beat it. I'll see you soon, and if you are fishing yourself today, over the weekend, tight lines, like me. Enjoy.